Owned by the Angevin dynasty, Santa Chiara is the early 14th century project of King Robert Wise and his wife Queen Sancha Mallorca. The largest Gothic church in the city, it is best viewed from above, from a vantage point such as Piazzale San Martino, where Robert's son Charles started construction on the San Martino Charter House.
Welcome! We will now show you the monastic complex of Santa Chiara as a significant example of the historical development of our monuments and their close ties with the local environment.
The Basilica Church of Santa Chiara faces Via Benedetto Croce, which is the eastern leg of Spacca Napoli. The church facade of Santa Chiara is diagonally across from the Church of Gesù Nuovo. The church square is enclosed by a high wall, and the entry consists of a large Gothic doorway of the 14th century, with a segmental arch devoid of decoration surmounted by a projecting nail of Piperno, a widespread volcanic rock in Naples.
The west facade of Santa Chiara is austere and has a gabled structure. The porch is original from the early 14th century. It's formed by 3 pointed arches, and the central one frames the beautiful portal with red and yellow marble and the coat of arms on Queen Sancha Mallorca.
The bell tower, separated from the main edifice, was begun in 1328, but was completed only in Renaissance times. It collapsed in part because of the earthquake in 1456, and was slowly rebuilt and completed in 1604 by Costantino Vallone. It has a square plan and consists of 3 rows separated by marble cornices, but probably the project was to provide for the execution of at least 5 floors. Only the lower part dates back to the 14th century. It presents marble slabs engraved with large Gothic characters that tell the story of the founding of the church from 1310 to 1340. Inside the church is the well-preserved marble floor designed by Ferdinando Fuga in the 18th century. The basilica has a single nave, no transept and no apse. There are 10 lateral chapels on each side of the nave. The roofs of the chapels are vaulted, and they support the gallery that runs the length of the nave. Above the gallery are the lancet windows of the clerestory. Here is the counter-facade with the Angevin tombs of Agnes and Clemens of Durazzo and Antonio Penna, with a fresco probably painted by an artist close to Giotto. Here is the presbytery with the 14th century tomb of Roberto d'Anjou in the center, work of Giovanni and Pacio Bertini. Behind the altar, with the crucifix of the 14th century, you can see the grills separating the church from the nuns' chores, where the nuns could hear mass while being invisible to anybody in the nave. It was decorated by Giotto. On the right, there are the tombs of Charles, Duke of Calabria, and Mary of Valois, attributed to Tino da Camaino. On the left, there is the tomb of Mary of Durazzo, Duke of Calabria's mother. Here are the chapels with their ancient tombs on the right and on the left. The original church was in traditional Provençal Gothic style, but was decorated in the 17th century in Baroque style by Domenico Antonio Vaccaro. After the edifice was practically destroyed by a fire during World War II, it was brought back to the alleged original state by a disputed restoration, which was completed in 1953. But, as you can see, some chapels like this still preserve the Baroque decoration. And now, let's go to visit the famous Maiolica cloister. It has undergone various transformations over the centuries. The most important was performed by Domenico Antonio Vaccaro between 1742 and 1769. The 14th century structure, composed of 66 arches resting on 66 Piperno pillars, remained unchanged, while the garden was completely changed. Vaccaro created the two orthogonal avenues with 64 octagonal columns in pergola-like structure that divided the garden in 4 sections. The walls of the 4 sides of the cloister are entirely covered by 17th century frescoes depicting saints, allegories, and scenes from the Old Testament. Donato and Giuseppe Massa adorned the cloister in hand-painted Neapolitan ceramic tiles. They harmonized the colorfulness of cloister with all the architectural and natural surrounding elements. 4 parterres bloom with roses, conifers, lemons, and orange trees, each rising the colors of the maiolica panels against the pale white of 2 marble fountains and the coralline blue of the sky. The tiled pillars are connected by seats on which we can see scenes from the daily life of the time that would seem to clash with the introspective world of cloistered nuns. Here we can see Naples, a place of blazing sunshine, music, and joie de vivre. The museum, attached to the monumental complex, houses informations on the history of the church and materials remaining after the fire that destroyed part of the church in 1943. In the archaeological area, we can see the remains of a Roman spa discovered after the war, which presumably belonged to a patrician villa. The spa is the most intact example of a thermal bath from ancient Neapolis. The spa is similar in structure to those of Pompeii and Herculaneum. They date back to the end of the 1st century after Christ, and its water pipes were part of Sarino Aqueduct. Did you like our guided tour? Hello to all!